This week's going to be quite interesting, I think. Apparently tomorrow we're going to get quite a bit of snow. Today's the Monday morning, and yeah, tomorrow evening this area is supposed to get hit by quite a bit of snow. January's been a pretty good month, really. Weather's been, you know, reasonably alright right up until the end of the month. I've stayed busy enough working. Hadn't had a trouble really. I've not been busy, you know. It's not been like the spring, you know, running around, phone calls every day. I've just ticked along quite nicely for January. Last year, I remember I didn't go to quite a few customers for some reason. I don't even remember why really. I just didn't think there would be anything at their garden to do. And I remember getting to sort of February, March time, and some of the customers that I didn't go visit, they said, "Oh, where were you?" They said, "You know, we had things for you to do." So I remembered that this year, and I've actually been going to pretty much everybody on a sort of regular basis. You know, maybe some of the customers that just have a, you know, say there's 4 visits in the month, maybe they just had the 2 visits, or you know, some of them even just had the 1 visit. But I've made sure that by the time I got to the end of the month, I've got some bills to put out and that sort of thing. I'll sound a bit, you know, nasally. I've got a stinking cold at the minute, so I'm not really feeling it. Trying to get out of the van at the minute. It's a bit cold. But yeah, I thought I would do a bit of a vlog this week. I haven't really been doing any videos. Just not really been anything too interesting going on. It's all been very just, you know, ticking along quite nicely. A few little hedges here and there to do. I've got a hedge here that I'm doing at my this garden. I might show you actually what I've been up to at this place. This is my regular one. I never miss this place. You know, come here basically every week of the year. But I've done a big hedge down this side of the garden. That's all done, finished. I've got a big hedge this side to do, and then once I've done all the hedges, I've got some pressure washing to do. But I've had a few customers ask me about pressure washing lately, and I must be honest, at the minute I'm not feeling it. I don't really want to get that pressure washer out. It's just a bit cold. I like to do my pressure washing sort of mid-February, end of February. Hopefully by then the weather's gone up a degree or so. I don't know. It's not normally doesn't too much, but yeah, I'm trying to leave those sort of, you know, the pressure washing just a little bit. I'm sort of thinking if the weather was to pick up a little bit in March, sort of end of February, March, but if it's not enough just to get the grass growing, you know, like it did last year, it wasn't quite enough. We were just sort of waiting for it to kick in. If it does that this year, then that's when I'll do all my pressure washing jobs, just before you know, all the grass cutting takes effect. But I've made it a point this January just to get out as much as I can, because the weather's been alright. We've only had snow the last week or so. The snow is the one thing that just stops me dead. I can't do any work in the snow. When we had snow last Wednesday, I should have been doing pruning a big rose, a big sort of rambling rose. Should have been pruning that, but I just no way I could get there. But the customers are happy. They're, you know, they understand, and they know it will be done. Hopefully within the next sort of 2 or 3 weeks I should get there and sort that out. But I have made it a point to try and get out and do as much as I can in January. I think last year I just didn't put myself out enough. I think, you know, we had stuff going on during the winter time, and I remember getting to February and looking at the bank balance and thinking, hang on a minute, I haven't done enough. I need to get my finger out a bit. So this year I just decided to, you know, I've gone to certain customers that I hadn't gone to last year, just to get some money in the bank. Anyway, it is Monday morning, 1 degree. Apparently it's not going to get much over 3 degrees today, and then it's going to snow tomorrow. Anyway, I'm going to show you what I've been up to today. Have a bit of a chat with you. So this is the hedge that I've done so far at this place, all the way along. This hedge used to be a complete pain in the backside for me. but it's not anymore. I've got the extension pole for the combi. The little carbon poles they come with. Got that, and since having that, I can basically get the whole of the top, and this hedge is massive, it's pretty wide. I can basically get the whole of the top of it from this side, reaching right over, and then all I've got to do then to do the other side, it's the road side, is to just wander around with the extension pole on, and I can basically get it all without having a ladder the other side. Problem I had with the other side is when you've got a ladder and you've got a hedge cutter and I'm parking here, I then have to walk all the way around with ladder and hedge cutter, because I'm not leaving anything there. There's the road that side, and if I left the hedge cutter around there and came back, it would disappear, someone would pinch it. So basically when you're wandering around cutting that side of the hedge, you've got to take everything with you, and you're sort of, it's a pain in the backside. So since having the extension pole, it's actually made it 10 times easier. Someone has driven, joyrided on this lawn, which is, and they did it when it was frozen as well, so that's going to kill that off. There'll be nice big brown marks through that place in the coming future. What I'm up against here, I've probably shown you this before, but this is what I'm doing at the minute. This hedge, I haven't started the front yet, but I'm going to sort of have a go at that now. Unfortunately, I can't use my henchman ladders here. This hedge is just far too tall, probably about 4 meters tall, this hedge, so, and the rest of it actually 5 meters tall. This is what I'm using today. So I've got the pruner on the extension pole, and then my normal hedge cutting setup for the combi. It's a bit of a pain in the backside. I would love to have an extra engine for the combi, especially doing a job like this, because I have to do the front bit, which I've done last year, but I'm also using the pruner because there's a lot of stuff from the other side, from next doors, which I'm cutting as well this year. Didn't cut it last year. I'll go over why I didn't cut it last year in a voiceover. But yeah, I would love to have another engine, save me swapping over, but you know what, I'm alright with that, doesn't matter. I'll do what I can with the normal hedge cutter, and then when there's a big bit, I'll save a few of the big bits and just do it with the pruner. I know that some people will say you can't cut it this time of year, it's too cold, the frost will kill it. I cut this every year at this time, and you can see it's not killed it, it's fine. Ideally you'd be cutting this in the in the summertime when the weather's nice, and but I've got to do it now. I've got a job to do, so I'm going to do it. Yeah, so I'm going to attach you to me head and show you a little bit on the top, and I'll do a voiceover for that bit. So you'll see from this hedge that the closer stuff to me is pretty short, and the stuff that is further into the next door's side of the hedge is very tall. There's one reason, that is I cut this basically once a year, this hedge. I try to at least cut it once a year, and last time I cut this hedge I decided to not cut next door's half of the hedge. I cut this hedge last year in a bad mood. I can't remember why. I was just very grumpy for some reason, and I think I just got fed up with the fact that next door never cut their hedge. They never cut their side at all, so it's always, when I get up to cut the hedge, the side I do is very good, but the side from the neighbour's half is just always so massive. There's massive big long bits, and it's not so much, when I do cut hedges I always go all the way across, but with this one now being so wide, just getting wider and wider, it makes it very, very difficult to reach across. Now I do have the extension pole, and here I've got it on the pruner, which is definitely helping. So I decided this year I would cut the whole thing. Main reason being is I've now got the pruner, I've now got the extension pole, which do help get all the way across the other side. And I am going to go round once I've finished and try and collect all the stuff from next door as best I can, all of this it's just no way of stopping it from falling into the garden. And I have had a discussion with the neighbours and just said, look, I'm going to pop round and pick up as much of the waste as I can. Now, as I said, I did cut this last year in a bad mood. Can't remember why. I was just in a bit of a grump, and I regretted doing the job that I did. Really, I regretted not going all the way across. This is a customer I come to all the time, and every time I would turn up, I would just see this sort of half-finished hedge. I think part of me thought maybe the next door would do it. You know, I just thought, oh, maybe because they've got a gardener, I'm sure, and I just thought, well, maybe they'll get somebody and do their half of the hedge. But I just regretted doing it, and I'll never do it again. You know, sort of a bit of a half-finished job, and you can just see, just leaving it for a year, the size of it. I think some of those bits are like sort of a couple of years old now, and they get really big. I couldn't get through it without the pruner. So yeah, it's just one of those sort of lessons that you sort of learn. You know, I probably should have just left this job for a bit. Maybe it was the weather. Maybe the weather was miserable, and I just got fed up with being wet and cold. But yeah, I did regret not going all the way across. You know, if there's a job worth doing, just do it right. Now, I have been just concentrating on the top of this hedge for the last few weeks. I'm not going to worry about the front of it just for the time being, just because it is so very, very cold, and it might get a little bit of burn on it. But I'm not too worried about the top. I've never had an issue before, but I just, you know, it's best to be safe than sorry. I'm going to concentrate on the top for now.
I'm getting through it okay. I do have a bit of a high bit at the minute, I can notice as I step back. Right here, trouble is I've got here is there used to be a gateway through this garden at one stage. I know that there were two brothers that lived, one lived here and one lived the other side, and they had a hole in the gate, a hole in the hedge, which they used for you know, just going through. So there is a bit of a hollow there. The trouble I have is I can't really set the ladder up anyway. I just keep falling through it. So I am going to come back at some stage and have another go at this little bit here. But apart from that, I'm going through it okay. I haven't started the front yet, but I'm not going to go any further that way because there's a car still there at the minute. So what I'm going to do is get in touch with the customers and ask them if on my next visit if they could just move the car somewhere else, so that I don't end up spraying it in conifer clippings. Time for a bit of a break. I've had to take a layer off. I'm getting a bit hot actually. It's got up to a balmy 2 degrees at the minute. Don't think I'll be taking anything else off though. So time to have a look what I've got for snacks today. Slim pickings today because I'm actually going home at lunchtime. I'm only live up the road. A cereal bar and apple and a bag of crisps, and that's it for this morning. Oh, hang on. Oh no. Thought I had a little chocolate mini eclair thing left over from the celebration box, but no, just yeah, slim pickings. It's bad. To go home and get myself a decent sandwich. So Hedge is going okay. Let me just hook you off there. You can see, working my way through it. No rush really. I'm not going to get it all done today. I'm coming back actually later on this week for another visit, probably on the hedge. So yeah, just get it done. I thought I would just do a little added bit to this video and just talk about something that I've seen crop up a few times on various Facebook groups lately, and it's about being busy. I see that a few people on there were getting a bit disheartened, the fact that their phones weren't ringing and that they weren't busy with work. I just thought I would put my little bit in because you see me doing videos and it looks like I'm you know, stuffed full of work. This month, for January, the whole of January, my phone has rang 3 times for jobs. 3 times. Now, I don't really have that much advertising out this time of year. I do have one very small advert in a local church parish magazine, which gets delivered at the sort of start of every month. Very small advert. One of the jobs I didn't get was a lady I looked at, and this was for a lawn which she wanted cutting fortnightly, and we would start that in the spring. Bit of a strange lady, if I'm honest with you, and I'm pretty pleased I didn't really get the job. She was, you know, when you just get a sense that a little bit funny. So I phoned up, gave her the price, and she rejected it there and then, which was absolutely fine. Another one was from somebody that lived just too far away from where I work. They were probably just over half an hour away from where I am, and although this time of year it'd be alright, when my season's up and running, for me to go from somewhere like I've just worked to then go, right, I need to now drive from that place there, it'd be like sort of 45 minutes drive to just do a small job. It's not worth it for me. And the other one is looking a pretty good job. I must be honest with you, it's a lot of stuff there to do, so I'm actually not I'm actually going to price that one this week, but I have sort of provisionally seen it. But I just wanted to say, you know, look, that's it. 3 phone calls this month. My phone's not ringing off the hook. The reason I'm out working most of the time is these are all regular customers that I've either put aside work, you know, like the Hedges, that sort of thing. I've spoke to the customers earlier in the year, or sort of late last year, and said, look, can we leave the Hedges until January, February? And most of the time they're okay with that. So don't get disheartened, you know, and see other people out there busy doing bits and pieces. You know, don't get disheartened. My phone's not ringing off the hook, but I'm still managing to sort of stay busy enough. It's just building up that clientele. I think if you were starting a new business right now, you were starting it, you'd struggle to pick up new work. For me anyway, it's just my personal opinion. I would be struggling to pick up a ton of new work now. I could probably pick up a few bits and pieces, but the work I would pick up I wouldn't class as making me busy. So yeah, that was it really. So tomorrow I am out with Dad. One of my jobs in the morning that we go to do, and one of Dad's jobs in the afternoon that we go to do. And thankfully, when I work with Dad, he brings the lunch. So the snacks I'll be having should be a little bit better than an apple and a cereal bar, hopefully.